Hello there, welcome to another INFJ Ramble. Today's recording has been inspired by a recurring emotion that I've been having to really look at over the past week or so. And the emotion that predominantly comes up is rejection. And I've been kind of going deep into this to understand it and to also see how it is affecting my perception of the world and how I navigate through it. So I was thinking about there's several things like that I would like to talk about regarding rejection. And I think, well, the first thing like that really comes to mind is a lot of the problems that occur are based on projections of our mind and how we perceive things, right? So I think like what happens is our mind, and I might have made recordings on this before, our mind creates expectations or it rejects what is currently happening in real time. And so, problems occur, and then feelings of discord and unalignment also occurs. You know what I mean? They're all just kind of like hand in hand. So, in order to alleviate, I think a lot of these issues is number one, we already know this stuff. Just don't have any expectations. And number two, to stop rejecting what is happening, in your current and present reality. So, for instance, like, say you have someone in your life that, let's just break it down. Say there was someone at work, and I'm just making a scenario up. I'm not saying that this is currently happening for myself, but say you have a coworker and their performance is not up to your expectations. So we have a tendency to kind of like already project some anger or irritation or anxiety because this person isn't matching our level of expectation. And we're also rejecting who they really are in that moment. Maybe some people can't process things as quickly as you. Maybe some people can't perform as 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 well as you. You know what I mean? And I mean, I feel like no matter where you go, these things are bound to occur because everyone is at their own specific level or degree of performing or navigating or, you know, ability to process information and apply it. We're all at various levels and degrees. Some people can't perform nearly as high as you, and in the same vein, you can't perform nearly as good as other people. So, it's kind of like a two-way street. You know what I mean? So, yeah, expectations and rejection of what is realistically happening in the moment creates a lot of problems. Now, if you were to switch it around, you create a remedy. So, don't have expectations and accept what is happening. Maybe some people can't process information as quickly as you. Maybe they can't apply information as quickly as you. Maybe they just don't know how. Maybe their system hasn't been upgraded in a way that they can. So, in which case, easier said than done, people. Easier said than done, because I think to some extent we have been socially conditioned to how do I say? We've been socially conditioned to have expectations and to constantly, try to like be better. You know what I mean? But who's to say like anything is better or worse? Maybe things just are. And things progress in their own time and in their own place, in their own way. And you are not the facilitator of that. You know what I mean? You could maybe apply some pressure, you maybe can influence, but as far as the person or individual in front of you who functions in their own way and time, and space, you cannot control. You cannot control that. Most you can do is influence. But then to expect them to get something or to like do something a certain way in a certain amount of time, it's just totally really kind of a skewed way of looking at things. Like it's kind of distorted. You're distorting what's really happening and you're rejecting what's really happening, and then problems occur. So on a flip side, or from another angle, rejection. I feel like I, as an INFJ, and I don't know if all INFJs can relate to this fact, but I felt like I've been rejected my whole life. And I feel like rejection is a really powerful, powerful thing because it actually breaks people down. Think about it. Like ultimately, we are supposed to be social creatures, and in order to socialize in a way that's harmonious, we're supposed to be accepted and we're supposed to be accepting. And I'm still exploring this, but maybe the level of rejection that I have put out is the level of rejection that I have been like processing internally. I'm not sure. I'm still exploring this, but for most of my life I have felt rejected. I felt outcasted. I felt abandoned. I felt kind of like and it's strange because like yeah, it's probably an external projection of my internal world, but I never really felt like maybe I just wasn't aware, or I hadn't awakened to that dimension of myself quite yet until most recently. But maybe I was rejecting myself for most of my life, and maybe that's why in a lot of relationships or a lot of interactions I've experienced rejection. But it's strange because I feel like I, to some extent, for most of my life, have always been proactively trying to make the connections and trying to do my part to maintain the connection, and adjusting myself to create a harmonious connection, and it's just always backfired. So it's kind of made me think about maybe I need to adjust my approach, you know what I mean? So instead of like always trying to make things harmonious or trying to be the one that is proactive about things, maybe I should just retract and start allowing people to gravitate towards me instead of me being the aggressor. And because I don't know, maybe yeah, I guess I can say like I have a tendency to be more of the aggressor, you know what I mean? Like I will proactively be the one to initiate communication, or I'll be the one to proactively initiate a connection, and also put forth the necessary energy to maintain it. But it's always fallen apart, and ultimately that made me feel rejected. It's like, what am I doing wrong? What am I not doing right, and how can I adjust myself? So I think, and this is all experimental, of course, maybe I retract my approach and not be so aggressive and just kind of be more passive and just let things come to me. And also to stop projecting my expectations and not rejections, to stop externalizing and projecting expectations. Instead, practice accepting what is happening in front of me, how a person is, and not trying to change a thing. You know what I mean? Like just saying like, okay, this person obviously is this way and that's okay. Instead of like, this person is this way and they could do this, this, and this to improve their lives. So why aren't they applying it? You see the difference? There's like an acceptance and a rejecting of what is, and people just are. People are the way they are. You can't expect them to be the way you want. And to be honest, like I've been struggling with this because like for me to thrive, I need and I acknowledge that I need a certain type of atmosphere, a certain type of environment. I don't like crowds. I don't like noises. I don't like unnecessary distribution of energy in, like, for instance, interactions or conversations that just go nowhere. You know what I mean? So I need certain components in order for me to thrive. I also need to feel accepted to some extent. And I think the acceptance starts with myself. It's very lonely though. Like, I've noticed, like, my approach has always meant to be the aggressor, but even when I'm the passive person, it's still really lonely. And I guess I just, again, have to accept the state of that reality instead of rejecting it. Instead of saying, how come I don't have, like, more connections? How come, I don't have like too many friends? I should just accept the reality of it and just go, this is me, this is how it is, and I'm okay with it. So yeah, our expectations of how we think it should be or could be, um, aligned with, a rejection of what actually is, does create a lot of dysfunction, and it stems from the mind. And then it also, like, trickles down into the other systems of your body, and if you're not aware of it, then it can be really, really toxic. So I'm trying to kind of detoxify, and so I'm trying to apply a new way of seeing and being and also navigating. And I think, this is a good start. So drop all expectations and stop rejecting what is actually happening and proceed from that place. And I think that, you'll expend less energy trying to fight the flow, and you'll alleviate a lot of confusion because, you won't be letting your mind distort what is actually happening. You'll actually retrain your mind to accept what is actually happening and then proceed from there. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, if you learned something cool, if you didn't, that's cool too. But I'm definitely working through this particular emotion at this particular phase of my life, and it's been a long time coming. I think I've suppressed so much stuff over the years, and I never really, 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 really looked at it, as closely as I am now. I've never really gotten as intimate with this feeling of rejection as I am in it now. So that's just my 2 cents. And if you learned something cool, if you didn't, that's cool too. Thank you for watching, and blessings to one and all. Amen.